Your guys' comments are really funny. Keyword management says I'm here because I never sleep. All right, guys, welcome to Divi Feature Update Live. This is a show where we talk about and discuss the latest features that are released on Divi. We go through them, discuss them, and see how we can better use them in our design. So first of all, I'd like to welcome everyone to the show. Thank you very much for tuning in. In fact, we have quite a lot of you tuning here from different parts of the world. We have Sonic, Yasser. We also have Yakub. Wow, this is many of you. When it says double audio. Whoa. That's strange. Is that better now? Hopefully that is better. Do you still hear an echo? Do you still hear an echo? Please let me know in the comments box if you still hear an echo. Okay, so I hear Benny says perfect. Keyword management, yes. Okay, fantastic. All right, so today we are talking about the feature that was released last week. This is called responsive editing and hover editing with Divi. Now, this feature is really important, in my opinion, because now we can actually design for specific devices. So let's say you design a part of the page which is highly optimized for a desktop. Now, because there may be a lot of content on it, or you may want to serve a different type of content when people view it from a mobile device or from a tablet, we can actually distinguish between these three devices, which I think is really, really good. Now, the reason why I'm saying this is because, let's say, for example, you have a large image, 1920 by 1080 for a desktop, and usually that same image is scaled down when you do responsive editing. And this is how it was before. So it meant that when you went on a tablet, pretty much is that image, the same image being shrunk to that size. But now, Divi can automatically resize that image for that particular device. So it's not just shrinking it down, it's actually resizing it for that particular device. So I think this is huge because it also increases the load speed. Decreases the load speeds, which means your website is going to be faster because the image now has been pretty much cropped for you or resized for you for that particular device. So if you're using a desktop, you're going to have a large image. If you're using a tablet, you're going to be using a scaled down image. And then the same happens also for a mobile device. So this is really, really cool. Unfortunately, it's quite difficult for me to show you how it resizes all this, but you can just trust me on that one. All right. The other thing I also want to talk about is when designing for different screen sizes, sometimes you may have a heading which is way too long, right? For, let's say, a phone screen, but the heading is perfectly okay for a desktop. Now we are able to go in and do the adjustments to make sure that everything fits very well with each and every device, which I think is also really good. And the other thing as well that I want to talk about is hover editing. Now, this feature is really cool as well because you can actually set a specific image for your hover. So let's say let's use colors. So let's say you have a normal state, which is blue. And then you can actually change that image to, let's say, red on hover. In fact, I'll be showing you how to do this in this example. So it's really, really exciting. So before I go in, if you have any questions throughout this live stream, please drop your questions in the comments box, and I'll do my best to read these questions and try and address them. So we are streaming live on Facebook and also on YouTube. So let me just make sure everything is running okay here. Okay. Okay, so it looks like everything is working fine. All right, so let's dive in and let's start working. But before I do that, I've also forgot. You need to make sure that you update Divi to the latest update. So just go into your website. In fact, let me show you how to do that. I'm just going to switch over here to my iMac. Right. So what you want to do is let's discard and edit here. You want to be in your admin dashboard here. Okay. So the next thing you want to do is sometimes you may not see that you have an update here. So what I usually do is I click here where it says update, and this just refreshes, everything and just make sure that you have the latest update here. So you want to make sure you have the latest update. In my case, I've already updated it. So now let's go in and start playing around with this latest feature. So I'm going to come over here and click a brand new page. So I'm just going to call this new feature. Okay. Click use Divi Builder. Now to save me a lot of time, or in fact, let me just build everything from scratch. It doesn't really matter. Come over here, click on build from scratch. So let's have 3 columns here. I'm going to start with blurbs, for example, here. Okay, so I'm going to search for my blurb and I'm going to select it. Right, so with this now, we're just going to add a basic design here. So let's go ahead and let's add an image. So I'm going to come over here, find an image to add. So I'm going to go with this one here. Upload an image. And then for my text, come over here to design. Let's make this bold. Okay, so let's say this is how I want my content to be shown on the desktop. Now let's go in now and change things for a different device. So I'm going to go back in here and click on design. So first of all, on image and icon, if I click here on this little icon, just as before, I can click on that and then I can go into tablet, and you can see here I'm in tablet mode. So in tablet mode here, I can do quite a lot of things here. So I can change the border width, I can change the image shadows. So every time I switch to this, to the tablet view, these are the changes that you'd see because I'm really editing here in the tablet view. So let me start here with the text, because ideally I want everything to be centered when I'm on this type of device. So I'm going to come over here, make all my changes. I'm going to center that. I'm also going to center the text like that. So everything is all centered now. So while I'm here, I could also change a few things here. I could add a border if I wanted to. So let's add a border width here so you can actually see the actual differences. Okay, so these are the changes that I want to do when people visit this website on a tablet. So I'm going to save this, and in fact that border was applied here. Let me just go back in and fix that quickly. So now you need to make sure that when you're making your changes, you need to be in the right tab. So I'm just going to get rid of this border here and apply it just to the tablet view. Okay, and I noticed that everything is all centered here as well. Right. Okay, so let's say this is my desktop view, but on my tablet view, I want to make some changes. So I just want to do it properly now because I did not do it correctly the first time. Okay, so you want to make sure that you're in you're in the right editing mode, which is the tablet view. And then every time you make your changes here, you also want to be in your tablet view, like as I am right now. So here, if we choose left, if we come back here to the desktop, you notice that everything is still in place, but on the tablet, now things are on the left, okay? Let's bring it back to the top here. If you want to add things like rounded corners, you can do that. But of course, you have to make sure that you are in this mode right here. Okay, so let's say you want to add a shadow. Let's add something that we can see here. So again, all the changes I'm doing here are going to be applied to the tablet view. Okay, so now let's change here back to the desktop. So over here, let's say you want to add more information, you can always go in and add more content. So let's say, come over here to text. Just going to copy some more text here and just double it. Okay, so now, if I come over here to design, change my view to tablet so I can see what I'm doing here on the tablet. On the text here, I can also do a few things like my text alignment. In fact, let me make sure that I'm in the right tablet mode here. Now with this, it's a bit tricky because you have to remember to be in the right mode. Otherwise, your settings are all going to change for all the devices. So make sure that this little icon here is selected as I have here, and then make all your changes. So you notice here, if I put light and then I add a background, all this is happening on this mode, which is the tablet. In fact, I have to be saving this as well when I'm making all these changes. Okay, I'll save that. And then I'm going to go back in. Going to my text, tablet. Right, I'm not sure what is happening here. Some of my settings are not being updated. Let me just refresh this. I'm noticing that sometimes when I make a change, it's not being applied to the right tab. So let me just go back in and let's remove this. So you can see here we have this border width. Okay, let me just find it. Yeah, something weird is happening here. Okay, let's get rid of it here. Okay, right. So I've gotten rid of that. Now let's try a different example here. So I'm going to add an image. Right, so my image here is going to be, let's see. Right, for this example, let's just go with this. Let's go with this image here. Upload an image. Okay, so this is how the image looks on my normal view. Now, what I'm going to show you now is the hover option. So if I click here on this little icon, click on hover, I can actually add a dedicated image which shows up on hover. So let's go ahead and do that. Now you see this feature here, it wasn't there before. So now if I click on hover, I can choose a different image now. So I'm going to go with this one here, click upload an image, and then save. Now I'm going to save this page, exit the Visual Builder. Okay, so now you notice that when things are normal, we have this image right here, but when I hover, it now changes. So you can do very exciting stuff here with this really cool option where you can show certain type of content, but when you hover, it totally changes that content altogether. So you can see here as I'm mousing over here, this is actually different. Now let me go back in and show you how you can further play around with this feature. But of course, you want to make sure that you're choosing the image that are the same sizes. So let's go in and let's change this image here. I'm just going to find some images which are pretty much the same sizes. So, okay, let's go with this one here. Upload an image. And then on the hover tab, make sure you've clicked this little icon here. And now on the hover tab, I'm just going to go in and choose a related image here. I'm going to go with the headphones, upload an image. So this is now what is happening on hover. So I'm going to save this one more time, save this page, and then I'm going to exit the Visual Builder. Okay, so now let's try the hover again. So here you can see this leather bag. Then when I mouse over it, it shows the headphones. Okay, so this is now a brand new feature that was added, and this is called hover editing with Divi. Okay, really, really cool. So you can do really exciting stuff with this feature. You can do especially even for e-commerce. You can actually show products, and then when you hover, you can show maybe a different version of it. You can use this on headers. You can use this on any type of content on your website. Now, if you're just joining us, this is the Divi Feature Update Live. This is a show where we talk about the latest features that are released in Divi. So what I'm going to do now is take a quick look at some of your comments and see if there's anything that I can address. Okay. Right. Switch over here. Perspective FPV says, what about on click? No, this feature is only on hover. It's not on click. So that's how this feature actually works. Richard Master says, does this do it on mobile as well? Yes. Now on mobile, of course, because we're using our finger, it has to be on when you click and press on it. That's where you see the change happening. So because we don't have a pointer on mobile devices or even tablets, so that feature here of the hover only works when you press or lightly press on the item. I've tried this on an iPhone. It works really well. You can actually see things changing, but I'm not sure how it is on Android. But it does work very well. But you just have to press on the actual image to see that hover effect. Okay, right. I can't pronounce this name. It's Svetilo, I think. Says, can you show us how to resize on mobile and desktop version? Right. The resizing, there's two ways to do this. As you're designing, you can actually add in an image which is smaller. In fact, I'll show you in a little bit, where for a specific device, you can use a specific size image for that particular design. In fact, I'll show you in a little bit how you can actually do that as you're designing your websites for different screen sizes. However, having said that, if you actually don't do that, Divi actually does it automatically for you. But if you want to do it yourself, and I highly recommend it this way, because you can go into a program like Photoshop, resize it and make sure it's the right size and the image itself. You can also play around with the amount, with the quality. So sometimes the images, when a picture is taken, it's at 100% quality, but you can actually reduce it down to about 80% and it still looks good. So that further reduces the file size. So if you do this in Photoshop, you can actually bring in images that are highly optimized right from the get-go. But I'll show you how to do that. Okay. Vocal says, I recently updated my version of Divi, but any image I upload comes out blurry. I even used an already uploaded image, blah, blah, blah. Okay. In the past, I'm not sure if this is the case with you. In the past, it was because of a plugin that automatically reduced my image size. So for some reason, I think there was a setting in that plugin that reduces the image sizes. I think they're called image compressors. Now, these programs in the past were actually causing the same problem that you're discussing now. I'm not 100% sure what that is, but so far, just using this without that image compression plugin, the images don't look blurry. So sometimes these plugins can overdo it and make your images blurry. Richard says, is there a way to do this for the hero section as well? Yes, pretty much you can just do this in different screen sizes. So let me dive in and let me show you how you can add different image sizes for the different screen sizes. Okay, I'm going to switch back over here now to my computer. So this time around, what I'm going to do is, let's see. Okay, let's get rid of this. Right, so what we're going to do here is to add an image. So I'm going to go with, let's see, how big is this? 2000, that's very big. Okay, I'm just going to go with this image right here. In fact, you know what? Let's use a layout, one of these layout packs. Because as I'm working on this, it just looks too basic and you can't really see what is going on. So I'd rather use a layout pack. That way you can have all this design in context. Okay, so I'm gonna go with okay, let's go with this one here. Right. Just trying to find a layout that is easy to work with. All right. You know what? I'm just going to go with this one here. In fact, this one is a bit too. Let's see. All right, let's go with this one here. I'm going to click on use this layout. Because by doing this, this will also import some of the images that I may want to use throughout this design. It's taking a bit of time here, but maybe that's because this is live. Okay, anyway, it's been loaded up now. Okay, excellent. So what I'm going to do here, there's quite a lot of images here, as you can see, which is great. So I'm going to now go in and add a brand new section and start adding all my content. So I'm going to come over here, add a brand new section. All right. So in this section here, let's just divide this into 2 columns. And in the first column here, I'm going to add an image. So let's see what images we have here. Strangely enough, the images haven't been imported, the images of the dogs and stuff, which is quite weird. Anyway, no worries. Let's just use the images that we have here. So I'm going to go with this one here, upload an image. Okay, so now this image that I've added in here, I don't know if you've noticed this, but if you want this to fill in this whole space, you have to go in now and make sure that this fits in the whole place. So I'm going to come over here and click on force full width. And surprisingly, now, this is something that was mentioned here. I think it was, can't remember the name now. Svetlana, I think. As I'm looking at this image here, it's actually quite blurry. So I'm not sure why this is. Let me just save this. This is strange. Let me just refresh this page and see. Yep, the image is blurry. Let me try this one more time by using a different. Oh, my images are back in. So I think there's something going on here. The site is not loading fast enough. I think you noticed that when I added this, the image was not showing well. So let me try this now. Okay, now this has fixed itself, which is great. And this is the right size. Okay, so let's say this is the size of the image that I need to use. So what I can actually do here is I can click here on this little button here. Okay, so on this button here, if you go on tablet, you can now specify what size image you want to add in here. So before we didn't have this option. So this image here is the image that will show on the tablet size. So let's say it's a smaller image, you can just add it here, and that's the image that will show. But because I haven't resized this, of course, due to the fact that I'm doing this live, let's assume that, let's say, this image here is the smaller one, yeah? Although the size is the same, I'm going to click upload an image. So what's going to happen now is This image here is what shows when people visit your website from a tablet. Now let's add a different one here for the phone as well. So again, we have an option here to add an image. So if I click on this plus button, this time let's go with this one here. Okay. So here we're just imagining that these images are all 3 different sizes. Okay. So now that I've assigned all my images to the different tablets, to the different screen sizes, if I save this, or in fact, let's do it from here. Okay, notice that now this image has changed on the tablet. If I come over here on the desktop, again, notice that the image has changed. So this is now the power of this latest update. You can actually go in and set specific images or image sizes based on the screen size. Now, as I was doing this, it's not only the screen sizes that you can do this with. You can actually change the content itself. So as you've noticed here, I had a specific image here for the desktop for this image. So for the tablet, let's say I want to have a different type of dog here for visitors from my tablet. I can assign this one here, click upload an image. So everyone now that visits my website from a tablet, this is what they see. They will not see this image right here on the desktop. Okay, they will see this one here. So this also applies to the phone. If I come over here, I can actually change what people that visit my website from a phone will see. So let me add this one here, click upload an image. So this is what we mean by content editing. So you can actually change the content based on the type of device that people are using to visit your website. Okay, I hope that is clear. So as you can see here, as I'm changing between these screens here like that, you can see now here on the tablet, we see a different dog here. And then on the smartphone, we also see a different view. Right. If you're getting these blurry images, it may be that you may just want to do a quick clearing of the cache, because that's what I just noticed here as I was working with this. So there might not be a need to roll back. Just clear your cache because the images have to be refreshed to show the latest images that have been updated. Right. Vocal says, Mac, I did all that. Okay, so if you've done all that, what I highly recommend is please raise a ticket on the elegantthemes.com website and talk to our support team. They may be able to drill down and find out what exactly that problem is. So please, I highly recommend that you do that. Just go on to elegantthemes.com. On the bottom right, there's a little bubble. Just go in there and speak to our support team. They'll be able to help you with that. In fact, they can even have access to your website and actually look at what that issue that's causing that may be. All right, so I'm just having a look here at these questions. WP Society says, does it mean that we have to select 3 different images for different screens? Yes, like I said, you'd have to choose the different images for the different screen sizes. That's mainly in your design. But this SRC set support also resizes your images for you automatically. So when Divi detects that you're on a mobile device, it automatically resizes the image, not just shrink it, but actually resizing it. So if your main image was, let's say 1920 by 1080, it will shrink it down to whatever, screen size that you're on. So this is one of the latest features, which I think is really powerful. If you go to the blog post, in fact, I've linked it in the video description below. If you go to the blog post, it goes into detail how this SRC set support actually works. In fact, I only found out about this on this update. I didn't know that this was a thing, you know? Right. Right. Someone here has mentioned WP Optimize. I also use that plugin. It's actually quite good. It just clears up quite a lot of stuff on your website. So that's something that you may want to try and use as well. Right. Let's see if I missed any questions here. Okay, I'm just going to take a quick look here on Facebook as well. Okay, no questions so far. Right, so as I mentioned, or if you're just joining us, this is the Divi Feature Update Live. This is a show where we talk about the latest Divi features. We go through, test them out, discuss about them, and see how best they can be used in our workflows. All right, so what I'm going to do now here is I'm going to try something different as well. So, in fact, let me just switch over here to... Okay. So as I was mentioning, the improved loading speeds, I think that's a massive one for me, because sometimes when you have a website that has a lot of blogs or a lot of images on your blogs, the loading times are highly impacted. But with this update now, it means that our website will be loading much faster, especially if you're using different devices. Okay, now on this example here, I just used this on this feature here on different mobile devices. Now you can also use this on hover. So if I click here on hover, notice here that we also have these hover states. So you can choose where you want the hover to be on. So whether it's a tablet, whether it's a phone. So right now we are on tablet. So I can actually go in and add a different image on hover. I think I've just done that example before, but I can just quickly do that for you. Okay, so I'm going to come over here and add a different image. Okay, let's go with this one here. Quite cute. Okay, so this is what's going to happen now on hover. And these states can also be applied to pretty much any modules or sections and all that good stuff. So if I save this and save this one more time. Now let's exit the Visual Builder. Now you notice that when I hover, it changes the image. Now let's try something different here on a section. So again, I'm going to enable the Visual Builder. Right. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go into my section settings, click on background. And while I'm here on my background, I can choose my different colors here based on which device people are visiting my website from. So if I click here on this little icon, I can go to tablet. Okay. Now in my tablet here, I can pretty much, let's say, I know it's going to be ugly, so please forgive me. In fact, you know what? Let me try and just make this. Yeah. Okay. So let's say on tablets, when they visit my website, this is going to have a white background, and then on the phone, it's going to have this really dark background. So I'm just doing this for illustration purposes so that you can see how things look with different screen sizes. Okay, so now that I have that, I'm just going to click these three little dots here on the bottom. So if I now click on my tablet view, you notice that now we have a white background. If I click here on the smartphone, we should have the dark background. So I'm going to click here and notice that we have the dark background. So this is really, really cool. So we can assign different designs to different screen sizes. And also this applies to the images. So let's say you have a specific image on your hero area here. You can actually go in and change that image depending on the device that the people are visiting it from. Now, the other thing that you can also do is you can also hide specific items on mobile, or let's say there's specific things that you don't want to show on other devices. You can actually go in and do that. Right, so to do that, you can come over here to the Advanced tab, Visibility. So here you can say disable on, let's say, phone. So that means that this hero area here, this section here, will be disabled on the phone. If you want to disable it on the tablet, you can also go ahead and do that. So this feature has always been there, but this is how you show specific items and disable specific items based on their devices. Okay, so I'm just going to switch back over here to... Right, so when it's disabled, you notice that it'll have this hazy, sort of like look on your design. So that's how you know that it's disabled. Okay. So I'm going to come back over here to my desktop. Now, this also applies to content. So if there is content that you want to show or disable, you can also do that, as I've just mentioned. Okay, so now here. Again, you can totally make some specific designs to specific items here. So let's say you want to have some animations on a specific view. All you have to do is to switch over to that view and then make changes to that particular item that you want to work on. So that is how you make all your changes. And this now applies throughout pretty much all our design options. Okay, so if I mouse over here, you'll notice that on the text font, you always have this icon, and then we have the options to go in and make changes. So if it comes to the color as well, you can come over here to the color, and you always see that icon. And once you're in the tablet view, you can go in now and, pretty much change your colors the way you want. If you want to use the hover, you can go into the hover state here and apply all your hover settings. But make sure you are in the right tab in order for this to work. If you're in the wrong tab, this won't work. Okay, so you notice that initially when I started this live stream, I was having a few hiccups. That is because I was not on the right tab. So you need to make sure you're on the right design option and on the right tab. So if you make changes here, it doesn't necessarily mean that over here on the font weight, it's also making changes, even though it's showing you that you're in the tablet view. All right, so pretty much that's all I have for you in today's update. If you have any more questions, I think I've covered quite a few of the basic questions here, but if you have more questions, please leave your questions in the show notes, not in the show notes, in the video description, and I'll do my best to respond to those questions. And if you're still having problems with your images or whatever it is, just make sure that you go to elegantthemes.com and raise a support ticket. That way you'll be helped. But so far, using this on my local machine, I haven't updated this onto my live website yet, but so far things are working okay. But if you're having any problems, please let us know and we'll be able to help you out. All right, so that's all I have for you today. Thank you very much for watching. Hopefully there'll be future updates coming out very, very soon. I really like doing these live shows, so hopefully next Monday we'll have an update where I can come on live and talk about it. All right, guys, thank you very much for tuning in. Really appreciate your time. Have a great rest of the week, and I will see you soon. Take care.